Hello everyone, this is Martha with the Academic Support Center at Raritan Valley Community College. This is a short little video on how to do division of polynomials. I'm going to start off with an example of doing long division. And then we're going to switch over to doing synthetic. So let's start with long division. We're given an equation of 6x to the third plus 7x squared plus 12x minus 5 divided by 3x minus 1. Now we can't do synthetic division because the coefficient or the number in front of the x is not 1. So this is one where we have to do long division. So let's set it up. The first thing that we do is we make sure that all of our exponents are in descending order. So we've got 3, 2, 1, and so we're good. If it went 3 and then 1, we would have to put a 0 in for a placeholder for the x squared. So let's do this. 6x cubed plus 7x squared plus 12x minus 5. And then we do 3, it's divided by 3x minus 1. So this is kind of how it translates into what we sometimes think of as grade school. Grade school division, there we go. So what I want to do is I want to look at this term right here. The first term in the polynomial and then the first term in the divisor. And I ask myself, what do I need to multiply by 3x by to get to 6x cubed? So I'm missing 2 x's, so I need x squared. And to get to 3, from 3 to 6, I multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2x squared. And because there's subtraction, I always put my subtraction and then parentheses, just because it helps me remember to distribute that. So now we take this 2x squared and multiply it by each term in the divisor, 3x, and then negative 1. So 2x squared times 3x is going to be 6x cubed. 2x squared times negative 1 becomes negative 2x squared. And then I remember to distribute this negative throughout. So positive 6x cubed becomes negative 6x cubed. And then negative 2x squared becomes positive 2x squared. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then we add these together. 6x cubed minus 6x cubed is 0, so that's good. 7x squared times, or plus 2x squared is 9x squared. Now I'm ready for the next one. So let's do purple. I asked myself, okay, I've got 9x squared. What do I multiply 3x by, or the leading term, to get to 9x squared? Well, I'm missing just one x here, so I'm going to put it above the x where there's just one x. And 3 times 3 is 9, and a positive, so I'm going to say plus 3x up here. I'm going to bring this plus 12x down because I'm carrying the next term just like in long division. And I put this parentheses to remind myself to distribute and then add, or to change the signs, whichever way is more helpful for you to think about. So I take 3x times 3x is going to be 9x squared. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. And then if I distribute that and add, I get negative 9x squared and then plus 3x. So 9x squared minus 9x squared is 0. Yay. And then we've got 12x plus 3x, which gives us 15x. So we bring down our next term. Oops, let's erase some of these. Which is negative 5. So then I ask myself, I've got 15x and 3x for my leading terms. What do I need to multiply 3x by to get to 15x? So there's no other x's, or I don't need an additional x, but I just need a positive 5 to get there. So I'm going to again put my parentheses down here to remind me to distribute. And then I take this positive 5 and multiply it by each term. So 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. I'm going to distribute this through. 15x minus 15x is 0. And then 5x this minus becomes plus is 0, 0. So hey, this works out pretty well. Also, I don't have a remainder, which means that this is a root. So that is long division. You take your divisor goes on the outside of the box. What's being divided goes in the inside of the box. And you ask yourself, what do I need to get to? I've got my first term. What do I need to multiply it by for the next term that I'm dividing into? So that is long division. Next, we're going to talk about synthetic division. And with long division, we were subtracting things away. But with synthetic division, there's two things to remember. The first is that we're going to be adding instead of subtracting. And then second is the form. The form that we base off of is x minus c, or our constant. And that's a big thing to remember. Because if we've got the divisor down here of x minus 2, it's already in minus, so we put positive 2 in our dividing box. If we're dividing by x plus 2, we can also write x plus 2 as x minus negative 2. And so this negative 2 is what we're going to be putting in our box to divide. We've got a kind of a tricky problem. We're going to set up and go from there. So our problem is 2x to the 5th minus 3x to the 4th plus x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 1. And then it's going to be divided by x plus 2. Now for synthetic division, we put what we're going to be dividing by, and we've got to remember this x minus c form. So this positive 2 is the same as subtracting negative 2. So we write negative 2 up in this box. And then we take the coefficient terms, which are the numbers in front of the variable or the x, And we make sure that they're all there. And by all there, I mean if we've got 2x to the 5th, and then if it jumped to x to the 3rd, we would have to put a 0 in for x to the 4th. But so let's check. We've got x to the 5th, 4th, 3rd, squared, and to the 1. So let's go. We've got 2, -3, +1, -1, +2, -1. What we do is we drop this down. It's the first thing that we do. We drop that down. And we multiply 2, which is what we dropped down, and -2. So +2 times -2 is going to be -4. And then, instead of subtracting, we're going to add these things. So -3 minus 4 is -7. So we take -7, which is what we got, and divide it by, or multiply it by -2. -7 times -2 is -14. We add these two together. This becomes, oh, +14. Whew. Negative times a negative is a positive. This becomes 15. Then we take this 15 and multiply it by -2. That gets us -31. -31 minus, or -30 minus 1 is -31. Jumping ahead a little bit there. -31 times -2 is +62. 2 plus 62 is 64. 64 times -2 is going to be -127. -1 minus 127 is 128. And so what do all these numbers mean? What's crucial to remember is that we've taken care of one of the x's up here. So we drop the exponent associated with each of these by 1. So after we divide this big equation by x plus 2, we're going to get 2x to the 4th minus 7x cubed plus 15x squared minus 31x plus 64. Now, this -128 that's left over, this is called the remainder. And we take the remainder, if there is one. So this is our equation, -128, and we divide it by, we just write what we divided by under here. So x plus 2. And that is our equation. I hope this has helped, and we'll have more videos coming up soon.